श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम।
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 श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम ओम। Hari Om to everybody. Hari Om to everybody. Today is an auspicious occasion for all of us because it was on this day 98 years back. Verma. Hari Om, Hari Om. It was on this day 98 years back. God gave the strong prompting to Vittal Rao to leave everything and take a leap. And that is the very purpose, that is why all of us are here. Had he continued as Vittal Rao, there would have been no chance of Anandashram. So today we remember Papa with a sense of gratitude. That is our first and foremost feeling. And then in the morning we were sharing, if all of us make an effort to ask ourselves, how were we drawn to him? Then only, there will be an in-depth study. Otherwise, it will be still on the superficial level. We are asking ourselves how we were drawn. What was the factor in him? What was it? Because of which he got attracted to his magnetic personality. First, it might be a casual visit. Somebody would have told us, okay, let us take it from ours. Sometime in 63, when we were all employed in Chennai, so at that time, we were closely associating with Chinmaya Mission activities during our off hours. So one day, Pujya Swami Chinmayanji Maharaj was there. There was quite a good gathering. They are all assembled there to celebrate the 10th year of Chinmaya Mission. On that day, he made a moving reference that we have become orphans. Two spiritual stalwarts have quit the scene. One is Swami Shivanji Maharaj, other is Swami Ramdas of Anandashram. instrumental sadhana. And he said the peculiarity, the uniqueness of these two saints are that everyone gets an individual attention. And if you remember right, he said it is a temple of sadhana. Anandashram is a temple of sadhana. So when we hear this from a evolved saint like Chimyanji Maharaj, naturally, a tendency slowly wells up. Where is it? What is it? Then we remember, Father had visited Calicut in 53 or 54 when Papa was passing through Calicut, and we were there, and in one devotee's house, Father had a darshan, and there was a photograph where Father was rendering bhajan and Papa was sitting on the sofa. We did not know much about it. Suddenly we started connecting up, and then we wrote a letter. So that is how. Like that, even today, after this had happened in 63, and we came here in 64 first. And then we met Puja Mataji. So we were understanding Papa through Mataji. Because by that time Papa had dropped the body. And then why did we continue to come? That we suppose we keep on analyzing such things. Then we become very clear now. Otherwise, somebody said we go there, okay. Slowly Papa made us to go deeper and deeper into his revelations. So now when everybody starts analyzing it, we will become more and more closer to his thoughts and his life and mission. That will help us in our journey. Because we are digging out from ourselves. Not that we are hearing somebody. We are finding out from ourselves. And that will stay with us. So on this day it would be better if all of us try to do that. In order to facilitate that, we will go through some of his words. And you can all watch yourself whether you get aligned to it. And that one which you get aligned to it, that will again lead us further and make us more and more conversant with his life and teaching. Suppose we read something and we talk something, we hear something. Immediately after the program is over, it will be erased. But suppose we do some earnest effort by ourselves. Anybody for that matter, today being the auspicious day of Papa Sannyas Day, we would take up Papa's life. All Mahatmas, all avatars, this is how the approach. Then it becomes, 100% ours. If we rely on somebody's word, if we rely on somebody's teaching, it doesn't become ours. Though they are all necessary in the beginning. Ultimately we have to dig within ourselves and find out why did we evince interest? What is it that stands out from the rest of the others? We will just go through. Based on this, an attempt was made. We have shared this, but again today we will share it. In search of Papa. It's a journey, Just like when you do PhD, you have to do a lot of research work. So here also we do some research work. That will enable us to know more and more about him. From the moment we are born into this world, we start our quest. In fact, a series of quests that defines who we are, for the loving embrace of the mother, for the love and care from the beloved one, for the extended arms of the well-wisher to guide us, for the answers to myriad questions hunting our young minds, for the solutions to the perplexing problems we face at every turn and twist in our lifelong journey. This quest is going on. For the true meaning and purpose of life, for peace, happiness and harmony within, around and everywhere, and most importantly for a communion with the Divine, which alone can make us find whatever we search for in our mortal life. In Search of Papa is an earnest attempt to delve into the blessed life and ennobling spiritual teaching of our beloved Papa Swami Ramdas, the founder master of Ananda Ashram, who, with a burning aspiration and a total dedication sought for, and ultimately found the highest in life, and lived a beatific life in constant communion with the Divine, whom he loved to call as Ram. In quest of Papa wandered in quest of God, Papa wandered all over India, from the deep south to the far north, unmindful of the creature comforts of the early life, solely banging on the great provider. As a wandering monk, often the sky was his roof, wide streams quenched his thirst, total strangers fed him in unknown places. Indeed, no one was a stranger for him, for he beheld beloved Ram in everyone and everything. He shared unreservedly his depthless love and boundless compassion with one and all. He wanted everyone to attain the summum bonum of life, which he himself had discovered thanks to his beloved Ram. His teachings are evidently like a pole star, eternally guiding all those who wish to take the spiritual path. In the light of his teachings, he wants us to dive deep within for direct perception and experience of the Divine. He says, through mere superficial churning of thought, Ramdas's words cannot be understood. You can throw light on them only when you bring with you the blazing torch of your own perfected experience. Experience is gained by diving into the depth of your mind. Mere assertion of the truth is not realization. Realization means direct perception and experience. See, now we have started in quest of Papa, in search of Papa. So the first quotation of Papa. Through mere superficial churning of thought, Ramdas's words cannot be understood. Just reading, just hearing. No. You can throw light on them only when you bring with you the blazing torch of your own perfected experience. Unless I make some effort, I may fail, I may forget, I should perseveringly continue. Because experience is a must. Experience is gained by diving into the depth of your mind. Mere assertion of the truth, heard, or read, did not happen. It means direct purpose. This is how first. So he doesn't ask us to learn something here. One by one the uniqueness comes. He places before us his revelations. We have to dive deep into it. And if it gets aligned with us, with it. Otherwise, okay. The first message. Every search or inquiry is a learning process. No matter how it culminates. So is this one that we embark upon. It is not meant to be an academic pursuit, gathering so many of these words and putting it in order. No. We should find we should feel how we are being led, from one stage to another, from one statement to another, from one situation to another. We should be conscious. So is this one. It is our sincere response to Papa's ardent exhortation. Be God, lead others to God. This is another quotation. Be God, lead others to God. Day for yesterday we were celebrating the Gita Jayanti Day. Many of you might know, you would have taken part. You remember the suggestion given by Papa. He said, be a devotee, be a yogi, as said by Srimad Bhagavad Gita. He only says this much. When suppose we can hear it and go. Suppose we want to go deeper. Be a devotee. How am I to become a devotee? Where does Bhagavad Gita give us some clues? Then we are straight away taken to the 12th chapter. The last 8 slokas, where the Lord defines who is my dearest devotee. After going through that, let us check up whether any of these things can be a reality in our life. Has it become a reality so far? If not, can it become a reality from now onwards? Similarly, he says, be a yogi. In 47 or 48, that's number 2, he says, yoga karma su kaushalam. Efficiency of action is called yoga. Dexterity in action. And he says, samatvam yoga muchyate. Equanimity is yoga. So now Papa said, be a yogi, be a bhakta. Then we try to go deeper into it. We try to intellectually understand, watch ourselves, whether any of these things have become a part of it so far, whether unknowingly or knowingly have we been able to translate this into our very life. If not, can we do that? If it is not possible, can we not pray to Him? Like that. This is what he said, going with it. This booklet has 5 parts. Roadmap, revelations, learning, conclusion, and life steps. Roadmap describes the search in detail. What purpose it serves in our spiritual progress. And how this journey is conducted. Revelations are the search results. What is being revealed as we inquire further into Papa's life and message. Conclusion captures the summary of the whole journey and the roadmap for going further forward. And the life section provides a brief profile of Papa Swami Ramdas. What we search. When we happen to hear about Anandashram, what comes to our mind is the arresting, captivating, bliss-radiating picture of the founder saint, Param Pujya Papa Swami Ramdas. Endearingly addressed by his innumerable devotees as beloved Papa. Those who have been associating with the ashram for a while do have a fairly good idea about Papa's life and message and have undoubtedly been benefited by this contact. But the search to know the core content of Papa is as an essential one for those who aim for spiritual heights, for sentimental satisfaction, for emotional satisfaction. Okay, we come, we see him, we adore him, we respect him, we hear his words, we go back. But if it is to become a contributory factor for my spiritual progress, I cannot be content with that. That is why he said, through mere superficial churning of the words, Ramdas's words cannot be understood. Bees run after flowers because of their fragrance and appearance first, but rest content only by enjoying the nectar held within. Similarly, devotees are attracted to Bapa's bliss-radiating form first, but the real joy can be had only by knowing the core of his being. So what we search? Core of the being. Core of the being of Papa is what is being now attempted. No. Why we search? Why should I do it? The search is an inner journey and an inward journey to explore a little deeper into the hitherto unknown or less understood facets of Papa's life and teaching. You would have seen some, you would have heard something, you would have known something, but it is not comprehensive. As we keep on seeing the different facets, we will find it has got a cascading effect on our own thinking. Look at one side and then go. No. That is why we search. It is like milk getting processed to make its core content in the ghee. Milk turns into curd, which gets churned into butter, and later gets converted into ghee. Why should I do it? Milk needs to be used fast, whereas ghee lasts very long. It adds flavor and enhances quality to whatever it is added to. Papa exhorts, behold God within, and then behold Him everywhere. As all the behold God within you, and then behold Him everywhere as all the manifested world. Don't adhere to the lower plane and seek satisfaction there. There is a subtle warning, no? Don't be satisfied with the surface level understanding, surface level satisfaction. It should be depth level. How we search? The journey towards the core of his being starts from identifying the uniqueness of his approach to spiritual life. Here is an example. If we look closely, we find that right from the very start, Papa has not followed any established pattern, such as mastering scriptures, serving or staying with a spiritual preceptor for a considerable time, or joining a spiritual institution or mission. This has been clearly brought out in his own words. Ramdas never joined any organization for his spiritual growth. Guru within him mysteriously guided him and made everything easy for God realization. Then he found that the best routes to be followed were those which his inner Guru set for him from time to time. It is clear that our guide in such matters must be the Guru within us and not without. This is a blunt statement, but we will add one more. No? We need a Guru to know this, that we should not rely on the outer Guru for. But an outer Guru should be there to tell us, So we understand the relevance of the outer Guru, and then we follow his words. Normally we don't follow his words. Here he clearly says, it is clear that our guide in such matters must be the Guru within us and not without. So initially, to put us on the rails, we need the outer Guru. Later on it has to be done by ourselves. There are so many such uniqueness. One example has been quoted. Now we go to a few quotations, words of Papa. To know him, We are on our search to the real Papa, not the outer Papa, the core of Papa. Sticking to one method in his sadhana. Ramdas, through a ceaseless repetition of the divine mantra, side by side with the concentrated meditation on the all-pervading, eternal, ever-blissful, indwelling God, had attained freedom and peace even before his advent into the world as a mendicant. Even from the very start, he was clear about the concept of God. That is why later on he would say, before we embark upon this spiritual journey, we should have the right concept of God. Though God is a conceptless reality, still we have only the vehicle called the mind, and mind has to have some concept approximating to the reality. Because it is not a knowable thing. If it is a knowable thing, it is an object. Here it is the very subject. So it cannot be brought under the ambit of knowable. But still, those who have scaled the heights, they have revealed their experiences. Based upon that, we form a concept, knowing fully well that it is beyond concept. This is the uniqueness. You see how deeply he is going inside. So he was chanting the name, simultaneously mind was dwelling on the aspects to ensure that the mind doesn't go anywhere. Something like putting a fence, Whenever the mind has got a tendency to go out, always it goes out. Nama chanting will be going on, mind will be on something else. We all know that.
Mind also will be going on.
Mind also will be going on. So that is what we find. But in his case, right from the beginning, the mind is going out because we are not very clear about the concept. There are so many hurdles for us. We can concentrate on an object which has got a name and form. Here it is nameless, formless. How am I to do that? All these conflicts should come. It's a good thing. As students of science, we know friction. Friction is the one which ensures progress. Suppose it is static, it will not move. So similarly, these conflicts, inner conflicts should be there. Inner conflicts try to get some clarity, and we go from stage 1 to stage 2, stage 2 to stage 3. So when we read this, we start applying what is happening in us. No, mind is going out. He says, Ramdas, through a ceaseless repetition of divine mantram, side by side with the concentrated meditation on the all-pervading, eternal, ever-blissful, indwelling God, had attained freedom and peace even before his advent into the world as a mendicant. On 27th December 1922, which date is now called as Sannyas Day. Technically it is not Sannyas Day. It must be on the 28th or 29th. We don't know. But for all practical purposes, he left everything on the 27th morning and left. So that is what is called here Sannyas Day. Everything is non-traditional in Anandas. So before he left, when we try to go a little deeper into this, we found that from 1920 onwards, this has started. In 2 years' time, he was able to get stabilized in this right concept of God, so that he was able to dwell on it. And in order to ensure that the mind doesn't go out, chanting was also resorted to. So when we read this, when we hear this, we are trying to apply what is happening in me. First thing is right concept of God. Second thing is perseverance. The mind goes, where is it going? My priorities are different. My preferences are different. That is why the mind takes its flight to that place. So slowly I try to bring it back. How do I bring it back? I try various methods. And finally I succeed. This is how we should do. We have done it in our life. In all, whatever we have mastered so far, right from getting up, from the childhood. How many times we tried, we were rolling on the ground. And then when we were made to stand, how careful we were. How when the mother called or somebody called, we tried our level best, short step. How we mastered it. Similarly eating. Similarly everything, Learning. Going to the school and learning so many things. Did it occur just because we went to the school one day? No. 12 years in school, another 2-3 years in college, or 5 years in college, like that, no. We just go back and find out. But we are not applying the same rule for this. We have applied because our priorities were different. We had an aim, I must study well, I must get 90 plus. And after 90 plus, I must get a placement. After getting a placement, I should settle down my life with a partner. Then I must have a house, I must have this comfort, that comfort, this comfort. There is something motivating force that occupies my mind and keeps on motivating me to plunge into various types of activities. Here, similarly, he was motivated to know the reality. Oh, that is what is lacking in us now. How do we shift? Like that, In Search of Papa makes us to think about all these things. Spiritual aspirants spend a lot of time pursuing quite a few methods due to lack of clarity of understanding, often leading them to frustration. While in Papa's case, from the very beginning, he could unwaveringly stick to one particular method of chanting the divine name, and his pious endeavors were crowned with a grand success in such a short period. Papa was from the beginning very clear that the God he was seeking was within, and that everything was happening only by his will. This clarity and conviction got stabilized in him within a short time because of remembering God through chanting of his name ceaselessly and contemplating on his divine attributes simultaneously. So this is how the search goes. Second, unflinching reliance on God. He says, God arranges all things in his own way and at the time he appoints. And we can find that throughout his life. After 27th December when he took a leap, no planning. He did not feel a sense of insecurity. If we go through In Quest of God, we will find that. Denial of everything, where we will stay, who will give him food, nothing was arranged. 400, 500, 600, 700 miles. Just imagine, by walk. When he gets into the train, he will be asked to get down. He carries nothing but a extra cost. I don't know whether that was also there. A few books. That's all. absolutely free from possessions, no planning, because he had this, God arranges all things in his own way, and at the time he appoints. Anxiety, uncertainty, all these things were not there in his dictionary. Insecurity. What will happen if I don't get a ticket? What will happen if I don't get a place with it? Everywhere, anxiety, anxiety, anxiety. We have money, we have everything. Still the anxiety part is there. Uncertainty part is there. And we struggle, we get tensed up. The train is late, we are upset. In our seat, somebody is sitting, we are upset. Even a small tiny bit. Think about it. Here he says, he is totally free. He says, God arranges all things in his own way at the time he appoints. Faith is sincere acceptance that we do not know, and trusting implicitly that God does. Beloved Papa had this rock solid faith and trust in the divine all along. It was unflinching, unconditional. He was very clear that the sense of individuality purely rested on God and God alone, who is the cause of everything. Hence the burden of life rests solely on his shoulders. Just like when we get into the train, we don't have to travel, no. Train will take us. We don't have to carry the baggage on our head, Train will carry. Still when the particular station comes, we have to get down with our baggage. So the moment we entrust, the moment we get into, so in his case, the moment he got into the train called God, you are free. Then I look back, what about me now? We suddenly realize our insufficiency. Oh, everything we plan. We think we have to plan. And where it has reached. In spite of my planning, so many things do not go as we planned. Here is an instance. Soon after the ashram was established, devotees were eager to mobilize funds for its upkeep. For those who may not know, we will share this also. Prior to coming to this ashram, Papa was asked to stay in we can call it as an ashram, built by a brother near Kasaragod. Where Papa was going here and there, So at that time he pleaded on the banks of a river, a beautiful background. Nobody is there. Food was sent. At that time, somebody went and gave him money. He did not touch. He refused to touch the money. Only after coming here, he changed. When it is offered, he accepts. So even during those days, he will say, hey, he will not touch. He will not touch. A money order was sent, it was returned back. That is over here. Nothing was there. Basic requirement somebody will provide, and if somebody comes and takes it away, he will not bother. A thatched shed. Similarly, when this ashram was established and the trust was formed, he made it very clear that no provision for any corporate. It was very clear. Then we will not be relying on God, we will be relying on corpus, how to pattern it, and we will be looking at the interest. When government or bank changes the interest, we are upset. We immediately think our income will go down. No such thing. If this is to be run, he will run it. He will have his own ways of running it. That's all. You keep quiet. When we read this, we look to our life, we find. We may not be able to fill up the blank. We can try. So on the Sannyas Day, we are trying to remember a few words. The real research, the real research into Papa's core of being. Another first detail. Devotion by itself is not the whole thing. Knowledge by itself is not the whole thing. Action by itself is not the whole thing. Combine these three in your life and manifest the all-round magnificence of your being. When we start hearing Bhakti, Jnana, Karma, all too technical, all talk. But here he puts in a simple way. For any act that we do, these three are essential. Anything. Knowledge, devotion and action. Suppose we want to write a letter, we should know how to write a letter. And we should do the act of writing the letter. And we should ensure that the reader gets the theme what you are trying to convey. So it should be in a loving way. Suppose I cook, I should know how to cook. I should do the act of cooking, but not merely based upon the theory. If I start preparing rasam based upon my knowledge, it will become something else. Every time I ensure that it is in line with, it is tasty. The person who takes should enjoy. Here the example is given of how to make tea. For success in any walk of life and activity, all these three elements, devotion, knowledge and action, are essential. First of all, for a sip of quality tea, all the ingredients, water, milk, sugar, tea leaves, should get blended proportionately. One component alone would not do. Moreover, to prepare such a drink, one should have the knowledge and skill of preparing the same and the needed ingredients, and total dedication and love to maintain the quality, and finally the act of preparing. Similarly, our sadhana has to be a blend of the three. Any activity. When Papa said this, we start thinking, if we have failed in any of our attempts, any one of these is missing. Proper knowledge should be there. The loving touch, dedication should be there. And the action. If they don't coordinate each other, it will not be a success. So we try to go back to our own life and find out the listed successful episodes in our life and the listed episodes of failures. We will be able to find out that one of these is missing. Even during his sadhana days, Papa was not only chanting incessantly with fully inward awareness, he was also involved externally in various acts of love and compassion. He therefore exemplified that devotion, knowledge and dedicated action should go hand in hand. Another revelation of Papa. God does not need an intermediary for carrying out his commands. If you think that God can speak through Ramdas, he can speak through you as well, because you cannot accuse God of partiality. Switch on your wire for direct communication within. Why do you deny him in your own heart? Normally, we all feel, the need of an intermediary. And we get stuck there. Intermediary is necessary, no doubt. An idol in a temple, a guru in an ashram. Shastras, rituals, traditions. Just imagine. All these things are helpful. But they are intermediaries. And what happens after some time? We get stuck there. So bluntly he says, God does not need an intermediary. If you think that God can speak through Ramdas, He can speak through you as well. These words, make us to wonder deeply. That He is there in equal measure. Whether He is a saint or a sinner, whether He is an educated or uneducated, whether He is young or old, whether He is of this gender or that gender, He is equal. Such being the case, where is the need? So, in our case, we need an intermediary to know that there is no need for an intermediary. So, we make use of the intermediary and then leave everything and then go. Go forward alone. Because He is seated within us now, in the form of life force. It doesn't require any other third factor to know that. Just think about it. The life principle is there, the body, mind, intellect, equipment is there, things are going on. When that be the case, where is the need for an intermediary? But until I know that He is there, and He is the motivating power which is activating all my body, mind, intellect, equipment, I need. So I need, I use, and then I leave it. And then there are only two things. Me, the sense of individuality, and He, the substratum behind it. This is what Bhagavan means. See, look here, the way in which He takes us inward, the way in which He is initiating us into a process of knowing the core of our being, without apparently a tall talk, simple talk. God does not need an intermediary. Switch on your wire for direct communication. Why do you deny Him in your heart? If you are looking up to God somewhere, we are denying, Whereas He is the very power, because of which you are now searching. The other day, somebody raised a doubt. When will this end? So it is very clear. Only when the search is stopped, so long as we search, He is separate from us. So automatically, the journey ends only when the search is stopped. In all that we find, there is no need for an intermediary beyond certain stage. God does not need an intermediary for carrying out His commands. If you think that God can speak through Ramdas, He can speak through you as well, because you cannot accuse God of partiality. Switch on your wire for direct communication within. Why do you deny Him in your heart? Very powerful statement. Very powerful statement. Why do you deny Him in your heart? So we keep, He is there, He is there, though I am not aware. Normally when we take to when we think about spiritual practices, normally, we think in terms of ashram life, going to a temple, observing some of these things, rituals, vows, pilgrimage, shastra learning, tapasya, self-denial, sannyas, so many things. And then we unknowingly feel that we have to isolate ourselves from the rest of the creation. Going, taking, to a solitude, in a cage, something like that. We feel that we should become insensitive to the demands and suffering of the people in and around us, society. Papa, with one stroke, he says, no. The liberation and peace of the individual is surely based upon his or her contribution towards the collective human happiness and harmony. So long as I feel as an individual, this is relevant because we are all individuals. Suddenly we cannot place ourselves to something beyond that, transcending that. At the moment we are all individuals. So he says, the liberation and peace of the individual is surely based upon his or her contribution towards the collective human happiness and harmony. It looks to be an innocent statement, but when we go deeper into it, we find, why should I become sensitive to the demands? I owe everything to this. When we emerge from our mother's womb, we do not bring anything with us. All that we need, all that makes our life comfortable, are provided by His two creations, namely Mother Nature and society. In other words, we exist because of these two facets of life, which succor us all through our physical existence. So how can we think about me and me only? Should we not therefore evolve from the individual to the universal, or me to we? This imperative need is highlighted by the above words of Papa. Early morning when we get up, anything that we see, we know it's a gift of society and nature. When there was no specs, somebody thought of a specs. When there was no mic, somebody thought of a mic. When there was no electricity, somebody thought of an electricity. When there was no chair, when there was no dress, because of that we are wearing. We did not bring anything. The air we breathe, the water we drink, the earth on which we stand, the space in which we move about, the temperature, 98.4 degrees that keep us alive, the sun, trees and plants. Without it, can we live? So how can we ignore them? How can we isolate from the rest of them? It has got everything to do with us. That is why he said the liberation of peace of the individual is surely based upon his or her contribution. How do I contribute? Through the various assignments God has given me. He first gives a family life, a professional life, a social life. Whatever we do, we have this. I may not know the person who thought about the specs when there was no specs in the world. I cannot pay him back. I don't know him. But I have before me the society. I can pay back to this. So all my activities, whether I work in the office, whether I do in the kitchen, whether I do seva in the society in any form, suppose this becomes clear, this is my contribution. Because when we work in a company, the company is instrumental in providing employment to many. It brings out innovative products which will be useful for the people. And when you start, suppose you start a factory, you start a farming activity, you will not do it by yourself. You need so many things. You need implements. So that means the person who is involved in the manufacture, he is getting it. So economic activities, indirectly you are encouraging. In front of you, so suppose 10 workers are working in your place. Naturally there will be a tea shop there. No? Somebody will eke out his living from the tea shop. Unknowingly, there will be tremendous economic activity. Because the purchasing power of the person goes up and up. He needs so many things. The demand. So you see, you are instrumental. So you will become honest, sincere, conscientious. This is the way you can contribute. Not by giving money. Any creative idea you bring in. It is instrumental in reaching out to many, many, many. Papa always says, be highly creative. Don't bother about the results. Your job is to do that. Probably after some level, it will be taken by somebody else or something else. Your job is to do what you have been taught to do. That will be the instrumental part. An ashram was started here. It was very backward. So finally, somebody suggested to Papa that we should have a school. And when it was published, people started sending contributions. 1 anna, 2 anna on those days. Because it was rupees anna 5. And school was built. Later on it was handed over to the government. There was no hospital here. Hospital was built. Later on handed over to the government. There was no vocational training center. There was a weaving center was started. It was handed over to the society. So it doesn't mean that when I start I should be, no. There is a particular role for everybody to do it at a particular stage. After that it moves on. School is from lower primary it became upper primary to the higher secondary and high school and then higher secondary now going very well. Hospital has become a peace center. So it is all flourishing well. Your job was only to do that. So he says, under the banner of spirituality, they were not divorcing themselves from the society. Papa Mataji showed us spirituality means it covers everything, comprehensive. No one is an island by himself. Everyone is part of the whole. Hence interdependent and interconnected. And in fact intimately related to each other. In every way, physically, physiologically, psychologically, and ultimately in our spiritual essence, the Atman of the pure being. An aspirant cannot therefore isolate himself from the rest of the creation. So whatever spiritual discipline we are engaged in should enable us to harmonize with the rest of the creation by contributing it in any manner for the betterment of one and all, near and far. Gradually we should be able to transform all our actions into an ardent worship of the Lord of the universe by way of our unconditional love and service to all His creation. Time is running out, so we have to be content with 5 or 6 quotations. It was an attempt in search of Papa. So the message is on days like Sannyas Day, Jayanti Day, Samadhi Day, it gives us an opportunity to plumb deep within the life and teaching they placed before us, and then not merely reading, not a textual knowledge that we are trying to acquire, not to keep it as a part of our memory, but to check up whether to what extent we have been able to translate it, to what extent we have been inspired first. If there is no inner alignment, it will not get inspired. Everything may, at the start, everything may not get aligned. But there may be something that gets aligned. And that's something we will try somehow. On this day we make it as an opportunity provided to us by the great provider to start that. Otherwise, at a superficial level, Papa Sannyas Day, Papa Jayanti Day, Papa Mahasamadhi Day, like that we will say. It is not going deeper and deeper into it. We are trying to understand who Papa is beyond the physical structure which we are adoring. But behind and beyond, every human being has got a form. He has also got a form. But what is it that makes us to connect with him? It is the ideal. Ideal and person. No? The person is attracting us because of the ideal he represents. And the research alone will try to unearth the ideal that is behind the person. And when we get attached, when we are touched by the ideal, it stays with us. It refines us. It transforms us. That is the purpose of observing or celebrating important days of the saint. So, with that attitude, we will try to spend the rest of the day and take the cue, not to leave it. Let us start the search. In search of Papa. If a Gita Jayanti day comes, how does Gita help me in my challenges in life, in my commitment to the society, in my duty towards society? All these things we should ask ourselves. Then there is a link. Otherwise the day comes and goes, we may do some activity, but it doesn't leave an indelible impression in our heart. So let us all try earnestly what can be done and make a start from today. And we pray to him who is facilitating all these things to us, to give us the necessary boost, tempo. After sometimes it goes out. It should not be. We cannot do it. So we are praying for his intervention and seek his grace to step up the tempo and derive the maximum benefit out of it. Hari Om. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om. 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 Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om.